So starting at the back of Challenger 2, we have 2 parachute tubes. The lower one would be the main chute, and these are 400-mile-an-hour chutes, so they're fairly small. The back one would be, the top one would be a secondary chute in case we have any kind of failure or something. We have a backup system. Then we go up beyond that, and then we got battery system to run the computer and the telemetry type stuff. And then we go down into, this is an oil tank for the rear engine, and this is a breather tank for both engines. Right here we got air for the driver. It's kind of like a funny car, and air comes in both sides of the helmet so you can try to get over the nitro fumes and stuff. We go into air jacks right here. We got 4 air jacks on the car because when you run an FIA meet and you have to turn it around in 1 hour, we put the air jacks down, we slide a Lazy Susan right underneath the center of the car and spin it around. So we need, those are really critical. Here we have air for the shifters, so that we have B&J transmissions, and then the 3 speeds, and they shift off of air pressure. This is a Mickey Thompson tire, a company that my dad started many years ago, and that is the premier tire for Bonneville. 3 fire bottles, gone off of one switch, fires all 3 fire bottles, 1 for the rear engine, front engine, and 1 for the driver's cockpit. Then as we move up a little bit farther, we have what we call a Handley Box, and that's named after the guy that built it for us. And it's a transfer box that connects the front engine to the rear engine via 3 drive shafts. And it's a little bit funny because this engine sits in the car normally. Well, when we get to the front engine, I'll show you, but normally like on a regular car, so you have engine, clutches, Handley Box, transmissions, and rear end. And when we get to the front, you have that exact same lash, except you switch it around and everything's in backwards. So this is a 500-inch, it's a drag racing type engine. Brad Anderson makes the block, so they're all aluminum billet blocks, and 500 cubic inches, like I said, and aluminum rods, pistons, and that kind of stuff. Then we have an intake manifold that we designed to work, and then we have AccuFab throttle bodies on top, and that's something that AccuFab designed for us. It seems to work really good. Barrel valve, then 2 MSD ignitions per engine, so just to fire off the nitromethane. And this MSD boxes and boxes. This is a drive shaft that hooks the front engine to the rear engine, goes along. Then we get into the driver's cockpit, and which is a really compact deal. I think I mentioned before, if I gained 5 pounds, I wouldn't fit in this. It's so tight. You got to get in there almost like a yoga move and slither yourself into the seat. But it's really protected inside. And then the race pack data control, and that indicates oil pressure. And you got to remember everything's times 2. So instead of having 1 oil pressure gauge, you have to have 2 oil pressure gauges. So everything on the whole car is times 2. You got 2 mag switches for each engine and starters on this side. Inside the cockpit, you have fuel shutoffs for both engines for nitromethane, and then you got parachutes, 1 parachute, 2 parachutes, and then you have the fire extinguisher bottles. You got buttons on the steering wheel right here to shift the engines from first to second, second to third, and then once again, now the whole process. And then inside a little bit farther, we got the Crow seat belts, and those are really tight, along with a Hans device and a Stand 21 helmet. And so you get up here a little bit farther. Now what we had back there that we just explained, now you have the whole thing in reverse. So now we got back to fuel shutoffs, and the mags and the Waterman oil pumps are in there, and get into the next engine. Now this engine, all that stuff you saw on top for the throttle bodies that AccuFab made for the rear of the engine, they're on here, but they're in the front, because right here is a line of vision that I see out this window. Here, would you close this? So that would be my vision line right there, coming straight across here. And so we couldn't have anything sit up here for the throttle body, so we had to convert it and put it in front. So then we go down to Coast Fabrication, Jeff Haywood headers on both sides. And now this is the Handley Box that we saw in the back, except for now this one has this added to it, and that's a reverser because the front engine's in backwards. So to connect the 2 of them, we had to build a reverse box here. That Handley did that too. So, and then the air box, the airbox on the front comes in all the way from the nose, so it comes all the way through this long channel, which is like a venturi, and it gets bigger and bigger until it gets into the throttle bodies. And then back to air jacks again for the front. This is all part of the raceback data acquisition system here. So this is fuel pump pressure, nozzle pressure, oil pressure, that all read back into the digital readout and then go onto a card that we can download when after the run's over. Back into the air jacks for the front, back into more Mickey Thompson front tires, and then we run fuel bags in the very front of this thing. Each one of these bags holds 30 gallons of fuel, and it takes 60 gallons of fuel to go 5 miles. So that's the car from one. Now this is a beautiful aluminum nose that's just over here, so it hides all this ugliness, but that's all part of the deal. Frank Hanrahan right here, one of our ace guys, fabricator. Tim Gibson, I think you guys saw earlier, he was on the computer back there. The guy at the solvent tank. Hey dog, wave. There you go, wave. That's Lou Anderson. He's one of our another main fabricator guys. So that's Challenger 2 from one end to the other.